with what becomes of Melissa expected to perhaps intensify over the weekend into the start of next week. We talked about those warmer waters. Latest information coming in right now, still showing this a tropical storm, winds at 50 miles per hour and barely even crawling at that, moving to the west-northwest at 3 miles per hour. Still dealing with some strong westerly vertical wind shear right in the storm system, so it doesn't look all that organized and real great when you look at that. You can see the cluster of thunderstorms. However, this looks kind of messy right now. Pressure at 1,002 millibars. Expect that pressure to drop as we go in the coming days. Not much movement. We are stuck between two ridges of high pressure. We're going to break down what's happening and why this is happening. But when you look at this for the past 6 hours, you are getting some rain over portions, over portions of the ABC Islands. Curacao now getting a bit of a break. Bonaire, Aruba watching closely to the north there. Those are the islands we're concerned with as far as the heavy rainfall and gusty winds. Michael, we're talking about this right now. It looks like the low-level center partially exposed, located about 100 miles west of the mid-level center. That's just on that satellite imagery that we're seeing there. All this great information coming in from the National Hurricane Center. And thankfully, the surface observations coming in from the Air Force aircraft is giving us some great data. That's been critical since we started watching this, really Monday night into Tuesday.
Yeah, it's interesting. The 5 a.m. advisory literally just released minutes ago. So we're looking at this data as it's coming in. And one thing that the National Hurricane Center is really emphasizing is the fact that life-threatening rain is going to be possible out of the system. And you can see it right now as we look live in Jamaica. It's pouring, Kingston, of course, being the capital. And
I'm telling you what, the storm itself is still far south from Jamaica and Kingston, but it's these bands and these storms are making it far enough north, right, Michael? It is starting to fill and expand. And now we're getting the radar information coming in from Jamaica, which is critical because it's the live radar that we're seeing right there. And this is going to be a concern for the island for potentially days and days of rain. I think that's why this is all going to add up.
Yeah, it's interesting because the National Hurricane Center is saying, generally speaking, parts of western Jamaica, 2 to 4 inches of rain is expected through Sunday is what they're saying. But when you look at the long term, and we're going to do this in just a moment, but the long-term forecast for southern Haiti, parts of the DR, suggesting perhaps upwards of a foot of rain. So that's
think about all this,
threatening.
Right? All of this energy coming up to those islands you just mentioned right there.
But it looks like there is a little bit of hostile wind that's keeping Melissa a little bit more suppressed at this point.
Exactly. Hostile winds, especially on the northern side of that. That's one of the things they also highlighted in their discussion this morning. As far as moisture, there's plenty of moisture on the northern and eastern side of this. There's a bit of a dry pocket just on the other side. However, you're starting to see some of that wrap over and perhaps will fill in, so we'll probably see that fill in shortly. As far as the water temperatures, this is something that we have been talking about here in the mid-80s, and this is the top. And when you go deep down, if you were to take a deep dive, if you were a scuba diver, you'd be warm all the way down very, very far. And that's a concern because that's fuel for this system.
Yeah, it's a lot of fuel. And unfortunately, if it follows the European model, so there's two big models that we look at, of course, the GFS and the Euro. The Euro is suggesting that this thing hangs out in parts of the Western Caribbean for days. We're talking like through the end of the week, end of this weekend. And if that should happen, as opposed to taking a quick turn, kind of like the GFS is suggesting, it is going to strengthen significantly in those warm waters.
That's one of the big concerns, and you talked about that. We'll break down the scenarios because it doesn't move very much, and having said that, all of that rain adds up. The latest forecast cone also coming in now has this at a Category 4, 130 mile per hour. So we're intense right now, and that, when you think about this, doesn't move a whole lot.
That's for Tuesday.
I mean, there's a reason for that. Yeah, and you think about this not moving a lot and all of the rain that's coming down. This is a concern. Let's talk about some of those reasons that we're seeing this as we move through the next few days, because you were talking about the Euro and the GFS playing big on this forecast.
Yeah, we look at some of the steering currents with Melissa and exactly where this thing is heading, right? And then what the impacts are possibly going to be. And to Craig's point, we're talking about the possibility of a Category 4 storm. And keep in mind that crews in the capital city of Santo Domingo, that's of course in the Dominican Republic, have already started clearing those storm drains ahead of what's expected to be extreme rain that's on the way. You can see them right there going to work, doing everything that they can to kind of shore up the community to make sure that they are ready for the impacts of what is going to be future, perhaps major Category 3, Category 4 Melissa. So we look at some of the atmospheric moisture that's in place right now, and all of the green that you're seeing on your screen just represents all of the moisture in the atmosphere. And note that this is in motion, but it almost doesn't seem like it just because of how slow this is moving. And Craig, you know, we look at the different steering currents in here, and one of the steering currents that I'm watching carefully is this big dip in our jet stream here. And, you know, should there be enough of a dip, which unfortunately at this point does not look like is going to happen, but if this big dip in the jet stream is able to kind of grab hold of Melissa, then it'll quickly rocket it up toward the northeast. I think that big dip, that soup ladle, if you will, it's almost like you're trying to get that piece of chicken at the bottom. Yeah, you're going for it with the soup ladle.
Melissa's that piece of chicken you're going for.
That's exactly what you're going for. Unfortunately, I don't think that this thing is going to kind of ladle or it's going to scoop up Melissa. So I think that it's going to get stuck there.
And it's interesting because there's a second dip in the jet that comes through after the first one, and maybe the second one, if it's strong enough, has a better impact on Melissa. At that point, Melissa maybe has grown in size and in, of course, height, which you watch closely, because if it grows taller, then you have more to grab onto, right? Like if you've got a buoy out on a lake and only a little piece of it sticking out, you don't have much to grab onto. But if you've got a big head on that that's way up above the water surface, you have more to grab onto. Essentially what's going on here. Here's a look at those forecast models you were talking about. The GFS has been an outlier this entire week, and that's just been making it all just kind of throwing that little monkey in the wrench. Yeah, exactly. But you talk about the Euros and a lot of the other ones, they're kind of still going, keeping it west and south of Cuba there, right there you're highlighting, which is great. And maybe if we see more of this continue, we saw kind of this cluster yesterday a little farther south. Now they're moving a little farther north. The consensus you can see now we've got the eastern side of Jamaica and Cuba in the mix as far as where the center could go. But think about the impacts widespread. That's just the center of the storm. That's not the entire storm. The entire storm is going to be potentially pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, already I was looking at the 5 a.m. advisory just indicating that tropical storm force winds extend well over 100 miles, about 115 miles or so from the center of circulation. So to your point, you know, this thing is going to be a big, wide system, so don't necessarily focus just on that little consensus line, because, again, it'll be a much bigger and broader impact. This is where Jamaica is, by the way, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, the island of Hispaniola. And, you know, the problem is, Craig, as you know, this thing spins in a counterclockwise fashion, sort of like this.
That's what I was going to talk about.
And so what that does is, I mean, it draws up all kinds of moisture off the Caribbean Sea into the southern flanks of Haiti and the DR. That's where we could see extreme rain.
Well, and you think about that because you have the surf that's going to bank up against the southern-facing slopes, or the beaches, and then you think about the quick rise in elevation to just over 10,000 feet. Major concern for those outer rain bands to just dump tons of rain the lower lying areas. The spread is still about 1,000 miles. Early in the week, it was 1,500 miles. It's still 1,000 miles. That's still a pretty wide spread. And notice the GFS and the Euro, those are the red models. They tend to take it a little farther south, and the Google AI model is taking it a little farther to the north. And the Google AI has done a pretty good, I think, has had a pretty good track record this season. It's new, but it's interesting to see how you see a lot of the cluster of them just outside of the DR, and the traditional, the older models, the ones we've been working with for so long, closer to Central America.
Yeah, you know, you're right. I'm very curious to see what happens. This is going to be by Saturday, by the way. So to start off the weekend, on which area this ends up really starting to evolve towards. Yeah, but you're right. AI models are suggesting perhaps a little bit further east and maybe a pinch further north, and then, of course, the traditional what we call physics-based models, a little further south and perhaps a little bit toward the west. Either way, I think the general consensus is that this pocket, these land masses, Haiti especially, and then eastern Cuba, Jamaica, those are going to be places that I think we're going to get pounded. And, you know, you look at the intensity forecast, and Craig, we could be talking about a major hurricane. If this is Category 3 at this line, that could be by Saturday. Some models are
still a big spread into Monday. Look, tropical storm all the way to Cat 4. That's how uncertain the models are that far out next Monday.